Is the Pokemon Center really going to be launching its website in Australia and New Zealand? Bloody oath! Great news for my Aussie neighbours and also our New Zealand neighbours across the sea there. The Pokemon Center has announced they will be having a soft launch in Australia and New Zealand for the Pokemon Center website in the near future. Now at this point, they haven't given us exact dates. If you're watching from the United States, Canada or the UK, this is not exciting, thrilling news to you because you already have the Pokemon Center website. But down here in Australia, this is super fantastic news because when we want to buy a product, booster boxes, ETBs, depending on what we're after, we've got to go to so many different various websites. We've got to go to the secondary market. We get absolutely hammered on price on the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. So this is really great news for the Aussies and for my New Zealand neighbours. We're going to go through some different products today. Specifically want to look at some of the Pokemon Center ETBs. It's been a real thorn in my side that we haven't had the Pokemon Center website available in Australia, because one thing I really wanted to get my hands on this year is the Pokemon Center stamped promo cards from the Pokemon Center ETBs. But I really cannot stand being ripped off on product. I will never pay too much for product. So that's been a real thorn in my side that I've had to pay a premium for Pokemon Center ETBs down here in Australia. I refuse to do it. So super fantastic news. I don't want to ramble on too much, but the Pokemon Center will be making a soft launch in Australia and New Zealand. This is freaking awesome news, guys. Again, just to reiterate, one of the reasons I'm super excited about this announcement is the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. Not so much the older ones, but a lot of these newer ones. So this is really good timing for the Pokemon Center website to be making this announcement. I wish they did it 6 months ago or even 12 months ago, but it's finally here. I just want to go through some of these Pokemon Center ETBs to show you the price difference from what you guys pay overseas. These are US prices I'm going to go through here compared to the Aussie prices. So here's the Lost Origin Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, right? Now, you guys pay $50 US, $49.99, call it $50 US. Over here in Australia, that would be the equivalent of $75, right? 75 Australian dollars, $50 US. Therefore, down here in Australia, if we were to pay a fair price, we'd pay $75, right? Now, this ETB may have gone up recently in price on the secondary market due to the demand of Lost Origin, but I'm just trying to give you an example. You guys would have paid $50 for this, right? We would have had to pay $75 at a fair price. Here's the price we have to pay in Australia. This is an eBay recent sale. US $93, Australian $141. So I said $75 would be a fair Australian price. $141 this person paid, plus $30 postage. So basically $170 they had to pay for this Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box versus what I think would be a fair price at $75. That's how much we get ripped off on these Pokemon Center ETBs down in Australia. I'm just going to go through a few examples to just drive this home because this has been really frustrating. Here's the Brilliant Stars. So these are still from the Sword and Shield era. Here's the Brilliant Stars Pokemon Center ETB. Again, $50 US, should be 75 Australian. Here's a recent sale on eBay, 165 Australian dollars. We should be paying 75. 165. Now this one I think was free postage, free pickup from here in Australia somewhere. Anyway, the point is we shouldn't be paying $165 for a Pokemon Center ETB. It's just like they're not bad products, but they're not really worth that much money. I mean, they're worth, I guess, what the market would pay for it. But I don't see, as a sealed investor, this person making a huge return on this investment versus just buying a booster box. At this price, like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. How many packets are in this thing? These have 10 packets. These have 10 packets. I think the Scarlet and Violet ETBs off memory have 11 packets. We'll go through some of those soon. But 10 packets, why would you pay 165 Australian dollars for 10 packets? You're paying $16.50 per packet. And the Sword and Shield Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, they don't have that Pokemon Center stamped promo card. So to me, they're not as exciting anyway. I wouldn't touch these things for that price. I'd rather go and spend my money on a booster box. These are just ridiculous prices. This is why I'm so thrilled about Pokemon Center's announcement to come to Australia. We deserve to be able to pay a competitive price for our product, you know, for Pokemon products. Here's a Scarlet and Violet base set Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box. So this is the Miraidon. Let's just double check. I think it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 11 packets. 11 packets, like I thought, in the Pokemon Center ETBs from the Scarlet and Violet era. So a bit better value. And these promo cards, I don't know if you can see that in the bottom here, you get a regular promo card as you get in the normal ETB, but you get that Pokemon Center stamped promo card. And that's what is really driving the sales, in my opinion, of these Scarlet and Violet era Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. Those stamped promo cards, everyone wants those. Those are literally driving the sales in the Pokemon Center ETB. So this would be $60. The Scarlet and Violet Pokemon Center ETBs would be $60 US. That's equivalent to just under 85 Australian dollars. I think it's about 80, you know, between 80 and 85 Australian dollars, right? That's what we should pay here if we're paying a fair price compared to what you're paying overseas in the States. Look at this recent sale on eBay for the Miraidon Pokemon Center ETB. 205 Australian dollars. Like I said, we should be paying about 80 to 85 when these get released. But we pay, look, $205 is more than double. That's like 250% more for that Pokemon Center ETB. At this price, that's actually more expensive down here than what we'd pay for the booster box, for a Scarlet and Violet based booster box. Now, granted, the promo cards in there with that Pokemon Center stamp are really sought after, but like I said, I refuse to be ripped off 250% more for the ETB down here in Australia just to get that stamped promo. In some cases, you're better off buying a regular ETB down here in Australia and then just buying a PSA 10 copy of that stamped promo, or just a mint condition, still sealed Pokemon Center stamped promo in addition to the ETB. That way you get almost everything you get in the Pokemon Center ETB, 2 packets less, but you still get the promo card, which is really what we're talking about. That's why people are paying a premium for that promo card. And I don't think it's a wise investment to pay too much down here in Australia. In the States or Canada or UK, where you already have a Pokemon Center website, it makes sense to buy them. It really makes sense. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but this is the primary reason I'm super excited about the Pokemon Center website coming to Australia. It's made my day. It means I can really start accumulating these Pokemon Center ETBs at a fair price and not being bloody ripped off. What do we got next? I just wanted to have a quick look at some of the Pokemon Center stamped promo cards, so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm after and what I'm talking about. So this PSA 10 Pikachu with the Pokemon Center stamp on it, in a PSA 10 recently sold for US $88, 132 Australian dollars. Now this is from the Paldea Evolved, Pokemon Center Paldea Evolved ETB. You can see there's that Pokemon Center stamp there, right? In that bottom right corner. That's really what it's all about, is with these Pokemon Center ETBs, is these stamped promos. That's a good looking Pikachu. PSA 10, 132 Australian dollars, 88 US dollars. Now, again, we have to pay. I haven't got a Paldea Evolved Pokemon Center ETB up on the screen here, but we do have to pay for those at least $200. At least $200 down here in Australia. And let's say I do buy a Paldea Evolved Pokemon Center ETB for $200 down in Australia. Let's say I pull the promo card out, go and get it graded, and it gets a PSA 9. It's such a waste of money. Such a waste of money. Here I can buy the PSA 10 copy of that promo card for $130, and I can just buy the regular ETB for $70, which gives me the $200. So down here, that's the predicament we have. It's much better value for us down here in Australia to buy a regular ETB, buy the stamped promo in a PSA 10, and those two things combined will cost the same as a Pokemon Center ETB, and we get a guaranteed PSA 10. That's why it's hard to justify buying the Pokemon Center ETBs down here at 200 to 250% more than what you pay for them in the States or Canada or the UK. So just, yes, super awesome news today. Now this one's a lot cheaper. This is the Mimikyu stamped, Pokemon Center stamped promo. You can see that Pokemon Center stamp. Now this is quite a nice card. I'm not huge on Mimikyu, but it's just a really cool card. PSA 10 sold for $31 US, 50 Australian dollars. Again, I just think, like, why wouldn't I could buy a PSA 10 Mimikyu stamped promo for $50, buy the ETB for $70. I spent $120. Why am I gonna pay $200 Australian dollars for the Pokemon Center ETB? Here's the Snorlax promo from the 151 Pokemon Center ETB. Now this one's a bit more, 161 Aussie dollars, 106 US dollars for the PSA 10. There's that Pokemon Center stamp. Snorlax is, for a fat lazy blue dude, he's a very popular Pokemon, and that's a nice card. In this case, again, I'd buy the PSA 10 and the regular ETB over the Pokemon Center ETB. So I think if I just go, skip through that screen. If I just go here, here's some of the Pokemon Center ETBs on the Pokemon Center website. What's really interesting to note is, obviously I'm not the only collector and or investor that is chasing those Pokemon Center stamped promos, because if we scroll down here, look at these, all these sold out. Now Temporal Forces is not very old. Temporal Forces is not very old at all. You've got the Walking Wake Pokemon Center ETB sold out. Now I can understand why some of these older ones are sold out, like Crown Zenith here in the corner, the Pokemon Center Silver Tempest, the Celebrations Pokemon Center ETB. These are a lot older, these sets, and going back to the Sword and Shield era. But to have these Scarlet and Violet Pokemon Center ETBs sold out, like look at this, the Iron Leaves Temporal Forces Pokemon Center ETB sold out. These are pretty new sets. The Pokemon Center 151 ETB sold out. Scroll down here, the Paldean Fates Pokemon Center ETB, the Paldea Evolved Pokemon Center ETB, the Paradox Rift, Iron Valiant and Roaring Moon Pokemon Center ETBs sold out. These Pokemon Center ETBs are selling out like hotcakes from your Pokemon Center website in the US. And like I say, obviously it's the stamped promos in those newer Pokemon Center ETBs from the Scarlet and Violet era that are really driving these sales. And credit to the Pokemon Center. They've found a way, they've really found a way to just sell these Pokemon Center ETBs like hotcakes. All they had to do was put a stamp on the promo card worth 1/10 of 1 cent and drive investors crazy. Very smart operating from the Pokemon Center, basically. Anyway, that's the news. Pokemon Center website coming to Australia, thank God, and coming to New Zealand. So I'm happy for my neighbours across New Zealand as well. To everyone else in the world, thanks for tuning in. Just know that down here in Australia, we're super excited for the Pokemon Center website to be coming to Australia. Hopefully now we can get these Pokemon Center ETBs and other products at fair bloody prices. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning into the Chase Card, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.